A tech company that was saving the world by making interesting and good electric cars that people actually wanted to buy. A company adored by liberals for what they were doing for the environment, being created by a man who seemingly was some super genius spaceman billionaire that earned all of his money because of how smart he was, and maybe meritocracy isn't a lie after all. A man who was loved and adored by everybody at a point in time. This is the story of Tesla. And Elon Musk! So, from 1996 to 1998, GM started leasing these weird, like, teardrop-shaped cars through Saturn dealerships called the EV1. It was fully electric, easy to use, relatively reliable for what it was, and you could just plug it up in your house. It was the world's first mass-produced electric vehicle. They were created as a response to California creating new CARB rules demanding manufacturers make one zero-emissions vehicle. These had a range of roughly 100 miles, and they had regenerative braking in the 90s. People loved these cars, the press loved these cars. It seemed like everybody loved these cars because it was the first electric car to feel like an actual car. Like, it drove like a car, it felt like a car, it went like a car, and it was gonna sell like a car, everybody thought. Mr. GM did not like how much these cars hurt his wallet, and they did not see a viable market for the cars or parts, even officially stating that the car had too many unique parts that if they were to fail, like parts for the regenerative braking, it would be a safety concern. Which, I don't know about you, but that kind of sounds fucking stupid to me. I mean, we don't really feel like making the parts for the car. And since we don't feel like making the parts for the car, it'd be kind of dangerous if you just drove it and like the parts broke. So we're just gonna like take the car away. Give it to me. Yeah, no more car for you. Despite customers writing letters with checks on them, begging, please, Mr. GM, please let me keep my EV1. I'll cover all of the maintenance costs, all of the replacement parts. Please just let me keep my car. Mr. GM said, nope, I gotta take it away from you. Grabbed it and crushed all but 40 of them, which they had the drivetrains removed and were donated to museums. Our two protagonists, being two California boys, probably saw the EV1s on the road themselves and were appalled by GM's decision. Speaking of which, Martin Forrest Eberhard was born in California in 1960. A budding engineer, he would graduate from the University of Illinois with a master's degree in science in '84. He would then go on to do a bunch of computer science-y technical stuff that I really do not understand. Things like the WY30 ASC2 computer terminal and thin client computers. He would then team up with a man named Mark Tarpenning and create the Rocket ebook. Mark Tarpenning, born June 1st, 1964, in California, was another budding engineer. He would graduate from Berkeley with a BA in computer science in '85, and then he would go on to work for Textron in Saudi Arabia doing God knows what. He would go on to develop a bunch of firmware and software products for a bunch of companies until he teamed up with Martin to make the Rocket ebook. These two would sell that Rocket ebook in 2003 to Gemstar International TV Guide for $187 million. Mark and Martin, now loaded with cash, were ready to jump into another project, another business. Martin, who was suffering from a midlife crisis at the time, really wanted a sports car.
All right, I had just gotten divorced, and it was what you do when you get divorced, so.
And they were both concerned about the climate change that was going on and the war in the Middle East that was seemingly just for oil. So what did they decide to do? They decided to start an EV company and name it after their favorite inventor, Nikola Tesla. Nico Motors, Tesla Motors. The idea was to create a car company that was also a technology company, with the technology being the proprietary motor, the battery, and the computer software running the car. Mark and Martin were inspired by the American-built AC Propulsion's Tzero, which I fucking love. I mean, this thing looks like a Tommy car ZZ, but like better, kinda. Like if you took the front of a Tommy car ZZ and the back of this and smashed it together, it would look like it belonged in the fucking 16th chapel. This is the problem. This is a lot of numbers. This thing made roughly 220 electric power from 28 Optima yellow top batteries, and it weighed only about 2,290 pounds, which is roughly 9,160 quarter pounders or 84,449.3556 rounds. Meaning this little go-kart would do 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds. It would also only do 90 miles an hour, but it was pretty sick. And it came with motherfucking TE37s!
Motherfucking TE37s!
It came with TE37s from the factory! Meaning the TE37s are technically an OEM wheel and just as cool as my Style 68s. Martin then funded Tom Gage and Alan Kakani to convert the Tzero to lithium-ion batteries. He then tried to convince them to put this laptop battery Tzero into production, but they refused, instead focusing on an electric Scion XB that they were working on called the E-Box. Mark and Martin would take what they learned from the Tzero and apply it to their own car. But just what would that car be? A luxury car? A faux riche economy car? Family car? A SUV with stupid ass gull-wing doors that fucking looks stupid? I'm gonna get to this later, but just know if those doors were on any other car, I would think it's fucking cool. You could put that shit on a Pontiac Aztek, and I think Exhibit hooked your shit up. But they started with a sports car. Very bold choice for a budding automaker. But the idea was to make a sports car and then a luxury car, and eventually work your way down to an economy car for everyday people. They had a plan of sorts. They just needed funding. Enter Elon Reeve Musk, born June 28, 1971 in Pretoria, South Africa. Not to be confused with the free and sovereign state of Pretoria. His parents being a Canadian model, May Musk, and a man on Pretoria's city council, Errol Musk.
Were you not nervous for your ex-wife to find out that you had had a baby with her daughter?
No, she was remarried. She'd remarried somebody else. One woman's another woman. You must remember, in 2/3 of the world right now, marriageable age is 12.
Yeah, that's wrong though.
Well, you may think so.
Who would go on in 1986 to acquire the outputs of 3 Zambian emerald mines. You see, he referred to his emerald mines as an under-the-table operation. And one time with Business Insider South Africa, he referred to the wealth he had during Elon's early years when he said that we had so much money we couldn't even close the safe. Elon would go on to have a weird rich guy life that I can't bring myself to understand. In 1995, Elon and his brother Kimball Musk, who dated a girl he met through a mutual named Jeffrey Epstein, would go on to borrow some of daddy's money and create a company called Zip2, which was like yellow pages and newspapers and shit, but for like the internet. Oh, and they were both illegal immigrants at the time. Not that I would care, but like I just think it's kind of funny given that like his current opinions and his current actions and things that he's doing in the US government. They would sell that company to Compaq and move on to the next adventure, which was X.com, a online money sharing service, which was doing great. It was doing pretty well. There was just one problem. Elon Musk, the investors and the board of directors and like everybody that had money in that company did not like Elon. They would oust him as CEO for some guy from Intuit. And then they would merge with Confinity, which owned the more popular money sharing service, PayPal. And when they merged with Confinity, Elon would come back briefly as the CEO. But him and Peter Thiel, the Intuit guy, would bump heads, so much so that Peter Thiel resigned. And when Peter Thiel resigned, the company started having a lot of technical problems and A lack of cohesive business model led to the investors again ousting Elon and bringing Peter Thiel back to save the company. PayPal was then acquired by eBay for 1.5 billion, of which Elon, who was ousted from the company but probably had a severance package, meaning he got $175.8 billion from doing nothing but being so shit at a company that they ousted him. So, according to Wikipedia, JB Strassel put Elon in contact with Tom Gage and Alan Cocconi of AC Propulsions, and he drove that laptop powered Tzero and he was in love with it. He then tried to convince them to put it in production, but they said no. They then said, hey, there's these guys that also tried to convince us to do that. And when we told them no, they were like, well, we'll go do it on our own. We can put you in contact with him. But according to Martin himself on a CNN interview, he said that AC Propulsions reached out to Elon in search of funding. And after months of back and forth, their team and Elon's team could never reach an agreement. Therefore, AC Propulsions gave Martin Elon's contact information, and Martin reached out to Elon first. Either way, at the time, they were in search of funding, and Elon was the first and only guy that actually properly listened to them and saw the envision of the Roadster. In February 2004, Elon Musk invested $6.5 million in the Tesla in their Series A funding, making him the majority shareholder. He then appointed Eberhard as CEO and brought in JB Strassel, and then they got to work. Eberhard got licensing from Lotus to build gliders, which are the cars minus the drivetrain. They relicensed those lithium-ion powertrains from the Tzero, but they ended up tweaking it enough to where they could legally say it was its own thing. The Roadster shared 6% of its parts with a Lotus, having a 2-inch longer wheelbase and a much stiffer chassis. Elon insisted that they build the car out of a composite carbon fiber and that it have electric door handles. The Roadster would beat an Elise in a drag race, but all that extra weight from the batteries means it fell on its face in a corner. They would make 2,500 of these more powerful yet heavier and larger Elises between 2009 and 2012. Meanwhile, on the business side of things, so this is the official complaint that Martin Eberhard made on Elon Musk. This isn't the deciding fact, but he was originally accusing Elon of libel, slander, injunctive relief, breach of contract, specific performance of contract, declaratory relief, failure to pay due and earned wages, penalties for failure to pay wages, failure to provide lawful wage statements, conversion, and negligence, including negligent infliction of emotional distress. Listen, I'm gonna paraphrase this a little bit, but you're welcome to read the whole thing for yourself. I'll put the link in the description, so don't worry on that. All right, are you ready? This is what it says. After meeting with several prospective venture capitalists in the winter and spring of 2004, Eberhard and Tarpening met with Musk, a former Silicon Valley entrepreneur and CEO of Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, SpaceX. Tesla Motors and Musk quickly reached an agreement upon which Musk would lead the first group of outside investors in Tesla Motors. It was determined that Eberhard would maintain his position as CEO and also act as a member of the board of directors. However, during the design process of the Roadster, Musk took a persistent and distracting interest in random details of marginal importance, such as wasting valuable resources and time on research on installing electric door latches rather than conventional door latches. The results were ever-increasing delays in the Roadster production, as well as skyrocketing expenses.
We originally planned to use a lot more standard technologies, for example, ordinary door handles rather than electric door handles, and as we changed to more and more exotic ideas along the way, we took on more and more risk of that.
As a result of his increasing financial interest in Tesla Motors, Musk had and exercised the privilege to appoint members to the board of directors. In winter 2006 and spring 2007, the board of directors was comprised of 7 members, 3 of who served at the pleasure of Musk. Beginning in winter 2006, Eberhard and Tarpening began to press the board of directors for approval to hire a full-time CFO or vice president of finance to control the costs being spent by Tesla Motors in the creation and production of the Roadster. Musk and the board of directors, however, continuously refused to authorize or approve any of the potential CFO candidates proposed by Eberhard, despite the obvious and mounting need to appoint a CFO to maintain Tesla Motors' financial health. In December 2006, Eberhard also proposed to the board of directors and the Musk that the board of directors search for a new CEO to replace him. Musk and the board of directors agreed to Eberhard's proposal and commenced a formal search for the CEO. The board of directors created a CEO search committee for that purpose and was comprised of 3 or 4 board of directors members, including Eberhard, Musk, and Ira Efren. Oh, fuck, dude. That guy. The IRA, okay. In July 2007, after a year and a half of inexplicable delay, Musk and the board of directors finally agreed to hire Mike Taylor as vice president of finance. Ironically, Mr. Taylor's first day at Tesla Motors turned out to be Eberhard's last day as CEO of the company under circumstances that he never foresaw. On August 7th, 2007, Eberhard was on a Tesla Motors business trip when he received unexpected news from Musk. Musk informed Eberhard over the telephone that Eberhard was to be replaced as CEO by Michael Marks as soon as Eberhard returned from his trip. At that time, Marks had not been interviewed or approved for the CEO position by either the board of directors or the CEO search committee. This is a mouthful. After receiving the telephone call from Musk, Eberhard contacted other board of directors members to determine what had transpired in his absence. None of these board of directors members had any knowledge that Eberhard was being asked to step down as the CEO of Tesla Motors at the time. Nonetheless, within a few days, on August 11, 2007, the board of directors, after meeting without first notifying or including Eberhard, asked Eberhard to step down from his position as CEO and to take on the position of President of Technology, reporting to the new CEO, Marks. Eberhard agreed to this proposal in order to ensure the continuity of the company. On or about October 22, 2007, Marks informed Eberhard that Eberhard's position with Tesla Motors was unsustainable due to Musk's persistent calls for Eberhard's termination. On or about November 27, 2007, Marks was let go from his position as CEO at Tesla Motors and replaced by Zeev Drordy on the same day. At that time, Musk also approached Eberhard and informed him that he no longer wanted Eberhard to be a part of the company, either as the president of technology or as a member of the board of directors. Musk threatened to convert enough of his preferred stock options to common stock options to give him control over 3 more board of director seats in addition to the 3 seats he had already controlled. This would have resulted in Musk gaining full control of Tesla Motors by appointing 7 out of 8 seats on the board of directors. Musk then proposed to honor Mark's previous proposal for Eberhard to be paid 6 months' salary to receive payment of his medical benefits through May 31, 2009, and to receive a substantial number of stock options in exchange for Eberhard's resignation of employment. Subsequently, on November 28, 2007, Musk formally offered Eberhard a severance package that included $100,000, reimbursement for the cost of Eberhard's medical benefits through Cobra for 6 months, an option to purchase 250,000 shares of Tesla Motors common stock, and an appointment to Tesla Motors board of advisors. Musk insisted that Eberhard execute a written severance agreement before he left the building that day. Musk again threatened to exercise his stock options to gain absolute control over Tesla Motors. Thereafter, Eberhard was provided with 2 agreements drafted by Tesla Motors, one agreement entitled Employment Resignation Agreement, and the second agreement entitled Resignation from the Board of Directors. Musk gave Eberhard the ultimatum to sign the agreements as they were or be terminated from any role at Tesla Motors whatsoever. Eberhard was not given the opportunity to consult or counsel or to analyze the documents he was given. With virtually no choice, Eberhard signed the severance agreements that same day. At the time he was asked to resign, Eberhard was never informed of any reason for resignation demand other than Musk's preference for such. The severance agreements contained a mutual non-disparagement clause and a mutual release of all claims clause. Now, some of this lawsuit has to do with like some misrepresentation of wages and stuff, and like classifying wages as other things, as like compensation or something, I think. I'm not really sure. It doesn't
make sense to me. That's why I'm not, like, I'm stupid, okay? Like, I don't turn left. But on or about January 10th, 2008, Eberhard posted an article on his personal weblog, TeslaFounders.com, regarding the large number of employees that Tesla Motors terminated at the time, and including his personal opinion that these employees were treated unfairly by Tesla Motors. Thereafter, on or about January 14th, 2008, Drury met with Eberhard and accused Eberhard of violating the non-disparagement clause of the severance agreements. Subsequently, on January 28, 2008, Harding and Tesla Motors believed Eberhard had violated the non-disparagement clause of the severance agreements. Harding further informed Eberhard that due to this alleged breach of severance agreements, Tesla Motors would discontinue Eberhard's remaining severance payments, revoke Eberhard's right to vest the 250,000 stock options, and dismiss Eberhard from his role as the member of Tesla's advisory board. So, after getting kicked out of his company, losing his severance and stocks, he had pretty much nothing left from Tesla, the company he started. Nothing but Roadster production number 002 that he already paid for. Paragraph 116 is them trying to say that the Roadster could have been worth like a couple $1 million. I think that's a little self-glazing. I think he's jerking himself off a little bit. But one can argue that is very sentimental to him, given he's one of the creators of it, right? As its inventor and creator, Eberhard was originally supposed to receive the first production Roadster. However, Musk, aware of the car's value, insisted on getting the first production value. In compromise, Eberhard agreed that he would receive the historic second production Roadster. Yeah, okay. Despite the negative, disparaging, and blatant lies why can't they just use normal people words in this? Promulgated by Musk, Eberhard's main focus after his resignation remains seeing the Roadster come to fruition. On or about February 9th, 2008, Eberhard was informed by Tesla Motors, then Senior Vice President Sales, that his Roadster would be ready on March 17th, 2008. Eberhard learned, however, that in breach of its agreement with Eberhard, in early February of 2008, Tesla Motors had already built and sold the second and maybe even third and fourth production Roadster. Tesla Motors sold the second production Roadster, intended for Eberhard, to a friend of Elon Musk. Siri also informed Eberhard in that his Roadster must undergo an endurance test before Eberhard was allowed to take possession of it, and that the endurance test purportedly required the Roadster to log 100 miles on public roadways, according to Tesla Motors. Eberhard later learned that by the time of production, Musk and Drury had decided that instead of testing the Roadster on a protected track at the Lotus factory and using highly skilled test drivers, Tesla Motors would have the Roadster shipped to California and be tested on public freeways by its untrained employees. This was not the procedure used while Eberhard was still with Tesla Motors. Eberhard waited for his vehicle without receiving any notice as to when it would actually be arriving until June 3rd, 2008. At the time, Eberhard learned that his car, now 3 months overdue, had been crashed during that required endurance test. Eberhard was informed that Tesla Motors test driver had driven Eberhard's Roadster into the back of a truck, almost completely totaling the vehicle. Eberhard learned that the individual who was hired by Tesla Motors to test drive his Roadster had previously crashed another vehicle for Tesla Motors and had received a warning about his driving from Tesla Motors. So, this lawsuit would end up being settled out of court, with the official statement saying there are 5 founders: Martin, Mark, Elon, JB, and this guy named Ian Wright. It's the first I've ever heard of him. To go out of my way to figure out what his name was.
Mark and Martin's vision of an ethical business that was saving the world by making electric cars that people actually wanted to buy, therefore putting more butts in electric seats, was still coming to fruition. I mean, I do see a lot of Teslas out on the road, but are they ethical? Are they good? Are they saving the world? Do people still want to buy Teslas today? I mean, you can accredit Tesla with restarting the electric revolution, but are they still what they say they were when they began? Before we delve into this, let's first learn what a carbon credit is. Thank God I wrote this script weeks ago, because I already forgot all the research I did. Carbon credits are essentially a coupon that allows the owner to emit a certain amount of carbon or greenhouse gases. I also think that the more environmentally friendly of a vehicle you make, the more carbon credits you get. Now, for most automakers, carbon credits are like gold because they already don't make that many EVs to begin with. And EVs aren't really a moneymaker for their company, so they don't really focus on them. Therefore, they don't get a lot of carbon credits. You see, in 2023, the US automakers created 11 million tons of carbon emission deficit, which is essentially when they have more emissions output for the credits and everything that's going in. GM was the worst offender despite buying 44 million carbon credits. That same year, Tesla sold 34 million carbon credits. Like an engine crane that way. You see, the EPA allows companies to claim electric vehicles as zero emission vehicles when that's really not the case. Their emissions is dependent on the power grid that's charging the vehicle. Nevertheless, Tesla unfairly gets a large amount of these pollution credits and then turns around and sells them to other companies so that they can go do the polluting. All the polluting that they want. Essentially working against all that Tesla was seemingly trying to do and not creating, but helping with these fucking carbon deficits. I mean, it truly does seem like Tesla's doing more harm than good with this. I mean, what's the fucking point if you're gonna take all the good star stickers you get from the government and sell it to your shitty ass polluting peers? I mean, now everybody's got a fucking good boy sticker, but the whole class is still a fucking polluting shitty mess. And this is why, despite seemingly all of Elon's attempts to purposely tank Tesla, they still managed to succeed. It's cheating is what it is. Tesla is surviving on government subsidies. The company that's run by the man that's trying to cut your government subsidies. The two separate Wikipedia pages, one for Tesla controversies and one for Tesla lawsuits, goes on and on and on. This could easily be a 2-hour video if I wanted it. Hell, I don't even want it to be this long because I don't like fucking watching videos this long. Fuck it. So let's just fast forward to Tesla today and see how it holds up to Mark and Martin's vision. Is the business ethical? Fuck no! From all their carbon credits selling, to OSHA violations, to toxic workplace allegations, to just fucking... But what about the cars? Every automaker in the world is a piece of shit that does shitty things, uses shitty practices, and is just, in general, shitty, right? So, what about the cars? I mean, I've driven one before. I've driven I think it was like a dual motor Model Y. Pretty basic one. But it drove pretty nice. That bitch was quick. She got up and she moved. It felt nice. It drove nice. I mean, the seats were okay. I kind of thought they were pretty fucking uncomfortable, in my opinion, but if you're not driving a 98 Buick LeSabre Oldsmobile 88 with that built-in couch they got, then your car is uncomfortable, in my opinion. But besides that, the car was pretty cool. I hated the infotainment screen. I hated that fucking iPad in the dash. Of course I would, because like, I would just so much rather not take my eyes off the road to hit a button or a dial to fuck with the climate or the radio. But navigating an infotainment screen on some of these cars is just impossible to me. Like, I understand how my grandma feels trying to send a fucking text on her Alcatel flip phone. It pisses me off to no fucking end. I'm getting off topic. Where Teslas, they drive. Tesla's autopilot. Let's talk about it. Let's just slight little discussion about it. Now, if you're a normal human being, I think you have the exact same feeling I do as on Tesla's autopilot. But if you're just like, if your brain is just brick, then you might like the autopilot. You might think that's a cool idea. Everybody's dumb, really, in reality. Everybody's dumb at fucking something. So we can't act surprised when dumb shit happens. It's a given. We have to like think about that and apply that shit. So when Elon is making lies about the fucking self-driving shit, calling it full self-driving when it's not there yet, it's not ready yet. And then when he does such dangerous things, is off, let the public beta test it for him. Anybody that does that shit should be in fucking jail. Do you know how fucking dangerous that is? Beta test the auto drive for me on public roads, you civilians. See if the self-driving car actually self-drives or if it kills you. And it's killed plenty of fucking people. And before he did the beta test, it killed people. So he thought it was a fucking good idea to do a public beta test? That man deserves to be in jail. He does not deserve to be one of the first people to be a fucking trillionaire. That's fucking bullshit. Self-driving pisses me off. Okay? I don't like it. It's like they're not even putting just Tesla owners in danger. You could at least say, well, they bought the Tesla. They signed up for the beta test. They probably signed some waiver. They knew what they were doing. No, you're putting the random civilians that they're gonna fucking crash into. You're putting Stacy, the single mother of 5 children, 2 of them fucking autistic. You're putting them in danger. Fuck it, Elon's tweets. We'll add that on there. That's a whole nother thing. That's unethical. That should be a fucking law written about Elon's tweets. Elon's law. No person under these states united shall post more than 3 times a day, 840 characters, or shall be subject to prosecution by law. We can call it the net banker tax. Do people still want to buy Teslas? I mean, I'm still seeing butts in Teslas, but I'm seeing more and more reluctant butts in Teslas. And I'm seeing more and more people turn on Elon. You see, Elon is such an interesting character because everybody was a fan of him at one point in time. He was the liberal darling, and then he was the conservative darling, and now he's a fucking loser. He's nobody's darling. He pissed all the liberals off, and so he switched to the conservative side, and then he fucking pissed all of them off. Hell, Trump's cabinet doesn't even fucking like him. He's a parasite wherever he goes. PayPal, fucking Twitter, fucking Tesla, right? Everywhere he seems to go, he just sucks the light. He's a joy sucker. Him being put at the head of a fucking department of some bullshit and having the whole world eyes on him as he dismantles every fucking government agency that we essentially had, trying to dismantle the Department of Education. Now that all eyes are on him doing that shit, people aren't really fucking with the Teslas no. Because he's the Tesla guy. He's the Tesla founder. He's the Tesla CEO. He worked so hard to be the face of Tesla. And now he's the fucking face of Tesla. And look, he's dooming Tesla. Because he's the face. Everyone connects Elon to Tesla, Tesla to Elon. And nobody wants to be connected to Elon. Not a fucking soul. Not even a baby born 2 fucking seconds ago. They don't know what's fucking right or left, what's blue or green, but they know fuck Elon, fuck that guy, he's a piece of shit. Like, if you would have just did the fucking millionaire, billionaire thing, took his Nepo baby money, moved into a fucking jillion square foot, you know, fucking minimalist mansion. It's like fucking 500 different shades of gray. Fucking someone's feeding him grapes and wine by his pool. He's just watching the sunrise, the birds chirp, just living his best life, not being a part of society. He would be the same as every fucking other Silicon Valley tech bro, pharma bro, crypto bro, fucking a Nepo baby. He would be the same as all the rest of the bros. A fucking Nepo baby. But now, he's a Nepo baby and a fucking loser that sucks at Path of Exile. You claim you got like 40 full-time jobs, and it seems all you do is just pay people and dick off, which is what you should be doing. But then you gotta fucking tweet about it and talk about it and have everybody validate your opinions. No, shut the fuck up and just be away from society like every other billionaire, and then we'll just be the normal amount of mad at you. I don't know, I've been like thinking about making this video for like 6 months now, maybe damn near a year. I probably wrote in like 2 scripts and deleted them just because I don't know, I like making happy shit, and this doesn't really feel good. Elon kind of sucks. He makes me mad. This is like make me mad shit. And I don't want to make people mad. I want to make people happy. But on the other hand, this is a topic I'm very obviously passionate about. So after the 3rd time I started typing the script, I was like, all right, I got to commit this time. I can't just fucking back out again. So here we are. I really hope y'all enjoy this. I'm probably going to go back to just like doing little history story shit for fun. And not really for this. But anyways, I love you. Good night.